StitchyTube. Settle down and watch StitchyTube. Hello. It's late-ish, not late. It's 6:45 here. But I decided I wanted to film a StitchyTube today, and I had other things going on, and I was like, you know what, I really wanted to get it done today, so I thought I'd knock it out tonight. I don't normally do it at night, and I wondered if the lighting would be okay. And it's fine. It's fine. I hope you guys are all well and had a great Thanksgiving holiday. We had a good one here. I really had kind of planned on taking most of the 4 days off, and true to fashion, I worked most of it. But I got a lot of stuff done, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But it was good. My apple pie, best ever. And super flaky crust. It was so great. And we ended up having, Graham lives with roommates now, and they're all in that 21, 22 year range. Some of them work, and one of them goes to school. And on Thanksgiving, just before he came over, I said, do all your roommates have somewhere to go? And he said, well, no, Braxton and Upton couldn't make it home, so they're just going to be here. And I said, oh my gosh. So they came over. Actually, maybe I'll include a picture here of them at our table. And it was a nice time, and they were so thankful. They actually dressed up in khakis and nicer shirts, and ate with us, and it was really nice. Otherwise, I don't know what they would have eaten. They had a Friendsgiving like a day or two before, where each of them made a dish from Thanksgiving to the best of their ability, and two of the girlfriends got invited over, and she was slated to bring mashed potatoes and gravy, and she stopped at KFC on the way and picked up 7 orders of KFC's potatoes and gravy. It's fine. So anyway, we did have a nice time, and Thanksgiving is just super fun. The food's delicious, and it's just kind of a, time to be with family. Big news today is the zine is out. That's what I worked on this last weekend, as I kind of put the final push in to get it done. I really wanted to get it done in November because I'd like it to be pretty much quarterly, every 3 months. So I'm shooting for February for the next one. I already have some people lined up for it. But if you're interested in participating, or you want to contribute in a way, email me. I was so excited about this issue because I had some really great gals come forward and offer just different contributions or ideas. I had some great people. Everybody was great in the Stitchers Gallery. I really would like to get more events in the next one. I don't want to just, kind of look around online and look for things. Just let me know if you have an event, and it could be a retreat, a class, an exhibition, a show, whatever, for me to put in the next one. So the zine, if you haven't seen it yet, is available now on my website. Zine number 1 of samplers yesterday and today is still available online, will be available. It's not a limited thing. And so I'm having a lot of people this time pick up issue 1 and issue 2. It is only online. You cannot get it printed, and that's what keeps it affordable. It's $12, but it's 34 pages of content again. And I think it turned out really great. This time I had Karen DeStasio is a big portion of this issue, and I was so excited when she contacted me. I think just before I left for maybe the Minnesota retreat, one of the things, I don't know, one trip that I had, she just contacted me right before and said, hey, I work, but I have a collection of samplers, and I've just kind of been reproducing them for fun, and could I contribute a reproduction sampler chart to your zine? And I was like, woo! And so I did an interview with her too, and she's just like the sweetest thing ever. Sweetest lady, and just so nice. And it's really cool what she's doing, with just reproducing samplers in her collection. She's stitching them, and so in this issue, I'll put a picture here, you get the chart for the Cecilia Smith 1841 sampler. And the cool thing about this one is she was actually 25 when she stitched it, which you don't often see, an adult lady. Fits? Okay. You don't often see an adult lady a long time ago stitching a sampler like this. And it has a really cool verse on it. The first part of it is, she shall be brought unto the king in raiment of needlework. And so it's really cool. And I think the bottom portion of it would make a really cool pincushion or whatever. But it was so nice of her to share this chart with us, and just so generous. Carolyn Johnson also contributed an article about tomato pincushions. I'll put a picture here again. And it was really fun to get her ideas on, kind of the history, which she said was kind of hard to track down. I've still been looking too, but tomato pincushions are one of those things that it's so folksy that it's like, where did it really start, and who, but anyway, she gives you instructions on how to make your own that are pretty simple. And she has the cutest picture in there of one that she made that's dollhouse sized. And it's really, really cute. And then Kathleen Littleton from this company, Cross Stitch Antiques, never mind. She reproduces and designs samplers, and I bumped into her at the Galleria show, and she had this project that she was undertaking with a Mary Atkinson sampler from the Franklin House in Franklin, Tennessee. And so there's a nice big article in there about how her husband came across this sampler while he was just doing touristy type things while she was at the last needlework market. And she actually reproduced this sampler for this little museum, or this house, like a historic house that people come and visit. And so the proceeds from the sale of that are actually going to the house to help with preservation and what they do there. And so there's a picture here of that sampler. You don't get this chart in the zine, but I am carrying it on my website. But the story was really interesting, and I think I have lots of cool pictures that she sent of, the original stitcher and the house and their son. And so it was just kind of really a cool story. What else did I have? I had Amanda Mae McNaughton from Artist Designs contacted me a couple of times really in the last 6 months, and she just kind of kicked some ideas around, and she sent me, kind of out of the blue, she was like, here's a sampler I designed, and it was really just kind of what I was looking for. The idea that Samplers Yesterday and Today is not only samplers, 1800 and earlier, but also we continue to design and stitch samplers that are also more modern, and she designed a really cute little sampler that I whipped up. And it's called the Breeze Block Sampler, and it's a 1950s style sampler just done in 4 shades of DMC. And breeze blocks are just a like a concrete or a cement form of like decor, but also just kind of the materials that put a house together. And she's got a little history of what breeze blocks are. But I love this idea that you take like the idea of a sampler and it can be something totally entirely different. And you don't see a lot of, I just love that this is like 1950s style, but it's also kind of modern, but it also is the idea of a sampler. So anyway, this chart, you get that in there, and it was really fun to stitch. I think it turned out super cute. And you, of course, could change the colors in it too. She wanted to use colors that were, a little bit more, kind of 1950s retro, and it says love at the bottom, which is really cool. I think you could definitely make it into an ornament too. I kind of blinged it out for my photo shoot to look like more like a Christmas sampler. And so I thank her for that great design. That was super fun. I always like to have at least one little contribution. And so I had this little pincushion that is in, the chart is in there, and it's from a sampler that I've got. And I call this a pincushion for Eleanor. And it's in a sampler that I've got that really the colors have just faded to almost all greeny golds. And I didn't pay a lot for it, but it would be super tricky to reproduce. I don't know, maybe someday, but what I did is I really like some of the motifs on it. And so this one is an actual motif charted from that sampler. And I just kind of adjusted the colors a little bit so that they were a little bit more, kind of readable. And one of the colors that I used is called Pink Sand they're all Weeks Dye Works colors, but there's a DMC conversion. And that purple is called Pink Sand. And I really like that color because it's just kind of a purpley, rosy kind of a color. It's very, very pretty. I hadn't really used that one before. I decorated with a little antique button for my collection. This trim I actually got from Lori from Textilist at the last retreat that I went to. And pretty sure I bought it from her, and it matched just perfectly. And then I had this little scrap of Blackbird Designs fabric with that same kind of purpley pinky kind of color. And so it turned out really cute. And that design is in there as well. There's a gallery, again, of stitchers holding their samplers with just a little bit of blurb about what they're holding and a little bit more, but it's 34 pages. I hope you like it. I've had really good comments so far. I've had a few designers and shop owners pick it up as well, and you'll find a link right on the main page of my website. Okay, what I'm all into. You know that I've been trying to learn better how to use my sewing machine. And I went and took a class on making project bags, and I made another one, and I wasn't super happy with it. I'm not sure that I like the stiff, fusible stuff that they had us put in it, and I think I might try it again with just regular batting, even though it will make it a little bit squishier and not stand up as well. But I have all these fabrics that I like, but they, you know, they're kind of quirky and they're great for project bags. But some of these I had like a yard of, and it's like, man, I don't make a lot of project bags with that. But so I looked around online. I was like, you know what? I should make some pillowcases for Christmas gifts. And there's a great tutorial on YouTube by the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I'll put a link below on how to make pillowcases. And I think it's like a 15-minute video or something. Super easy, makes a really cute pillowcase, and it's a great way to use up these fabrics that maybe you've got a lot of, or maybe they're kind of weird, or maybe, you know, you just think like, oh, this person would, you know, loves chinchillas or whatever, and you have chinchilla fabric. So I made a few, and I thought I'd share them with you. This one was the first one that I made. And I don't know if you remember, but last time I showed you some fabrics I had gotten at the fabric dock, and these were 2 of them that I bought for $5 a yard. And it uses about a yard of fabric. The bottom part uses about 3/4 of a yard, and then you need just a little scrap for trim, and then the top is just 9 inches. So it's 27 inches and 9 inches, which is a yard. And the fabric is really nice. I think it was like a Moda or whatever. So I was really pleased with the way the first one came out. So that was my first one. And then my second one I made for my sister-in-law, so I hope she's not watching this, because she loves nutcrackers, and I got this also at the fabric dock. And this one I made with a top and a bottom, so it's banded kind of, and it turned out, I think, really cute. As she sleeps on it, they're going to be sideways because they're sleeping. They're not going to stand up while she's with her head on them all night. They're going to lay down too. Everybody's going to snuggle up together and have Christmas. The third one that I made was for my nephew Luke. So Luke, if you're watching, you got to look away. And he said his favorite color was blue. And I had this really cool fabric I got a few years back of, like, it's kind of the back of a comic book with ads and things. And then the cool thing about this pattern is that when you finish it, everything, even though you've got all these 3 fabrics joining together, everything is tucked in. And so the method is they tell you how to stack your fabric, and then you roll everything up, and then you pull another piece of fabric over the top, sew a line, and everything is tucked in. You just pull it through. I can't explain it in 1 minute, but if you watch their 15-minute video, you'll be like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. And really, I mean, you can just knock these out. If you took a Saturday and just like got a whole bunch of your fabrics that you've got too much of, you could crank out a whole bunch of these babies. I made this one for my nephew, Tate, but I can't give it to him. He said his favorite color was green. And I had this green kind of cool fabric, and he has a shirt that he likes to wear. Actually, I think he has 2 of the same shirt that says Dab Cat, and it's a cat doing the dab thing. And so I have this cute cat fabric where it's cat faces with their emotion, you know, like stressed and lethargic and crabby and stuff. And I thought it was really cute. I'll have to get some more, I think, because I really like it, and it would be fun to make a whole pillowcase out of it. But it says pissed right there. And I don't think it's appropriate to give, you know, a 10-year-old a thing that says pissed. I don't know. If he was 15, I maybe would. But, so I'm going to have to just find somebody else for that one. Now, that's just for a regular sized pillowcase. So I kind of would like to make one for myself and maybe for our family. I've got, my husband and I both have king size pillows. And so I think I just will have to measure and figure out how much more to add. But they were really fun, and I'm getting more comfortable with using my sewing machine. The thing that worries me is you feed your fabric, you know, up to your sewing machine. And when I was in, you know, like 4th grade or something, I was in 4-H. And we had a class on using the sewing machine. And I think I really had already used a sewing machine at that point, but Mrs. Maxner told us a story about, I think, her sister maybe, who sewed through her finger with her sewing machine. And I've always been so deathly afraid of sewing through my finger. And so just using the sewing machine more often, I'm becoming more and more, I mean, not crazy, not careless, but you would really have to not be paying attention and be going pretty fast and be doing stupid things to sew through your finger. I mean, I think. So if I feel me hit the little foot thing or whatever, obviously you don't go past that foot because that's where the needle's going up and down. So I'm just paying attention and trying not to sew through my finger. Okay, so that's one thing I'm into. I'm all into making pie crust with butter. I've made pies for a long time. starting when I was probably, 11 or 12. And I remember even making lemon meringue pies, just like, oh, you just, just use the recipe. But, my family always really likes my pie crust, and I always used margarine because that's the recipe that I had. Originally, I had a recipe from my grandma that called for, I think there was vinegar in it, and there is some reason for that. Like, you'll find some cookbooks that either recommend vinegar or vodka even, and it does something with the flakiness. I'm not sure. It's been my experience that the fewer the ingredients with pie crust, the better. I always used margarine, but I, a number of years ago was like, you know what? I don't feel like margarine is that good for you. Not that butter is, but butter at least is one ingredient. And so I started using butter, and I have a pastry cutter, and it just turned out so good this year in layers. Harrison took a piece to his room one night and was like, oh my gosh, I could hear my fork going through the layers. It was amazing. It just turned out really great. And there are a number of really good places online. I think Bon Appetit, there's a gal who has a really cool video about she makes an apple tart, and with a very similar recipe. It's just butter, salt, ice water, and flour. I don't remember if she does sugar in hers or not, but she uses a pastry, what do you call it? Chopper, guillotine, pastry. It's like a thing. It's like a guillotine, basically. And she just chops the butter into a few big pieces. And then instead of trying to break it into pieces, she puts it down and scrapes the butter backwards. And so she actually creates sheets of butter, which was really cool. And I think I'm going to try that next time. I mean, if you're going to eat a piece of pie, make it with butter. I kind of have I think I've said this before. I feel like if you're going to have a treat, have the real treat and just don't eat as much of it. I'm back on my fitness app diet. I started today, and I'm trying to stay under like 1,200 and some calories a day is what I get. And I was really good today, and I have 300 calories left, so I might have some ice cream, because as long as I stay under the calories, then I'm fine. But I'd rather have something. If you're going to have a treat, have the real deal. That's what I think. I'm into this book that I got. I think I got it last Christmas, and I'm notoriously save things. Like, I get a gift and I don't listen to the CD, or I get a book and I don't read it for like 5 years, or I get a movie and I don't watch it. I just save it. It's not that I don't want to experience it. It's just like I don't know. I just save it. I think I got this book last year for Christmas. It was on my list. Antique Needlework Tools and Embroideries by Narella Tauntaun. And just for your information, a tauntaun is a lizard creature that lives on the windswept icy plains of Hoth in Empire Strikes Back. It's the animal that Han Solo cuts open and the guts come out, and they stuff Luke Skywalker in so he doesn't freeze to death. That's just a little tidbit from me to you. That's what a tauntaun is. But anyway, she's not a lizard creature, I'm sure. She's lovely. But this book is really cool. You can get it on Amazon. It's not available, like it's out of print, but you can find it on Amazon in really good condition for like $12 with shipping. So I think mine just came used, but it was in pristine brand new condition. It's very interesting to read about. I don't know a ton about needlework tools. I know some, and I like looking at them, and they're actually, I think people hoard them. People who collect them have nice big collections. I don't see them often. And, part of it is I live in Mississippi. But I mean, even when I've been other places, I just don't see a lot of nice needlework tools. Dawn Lewis brings them to the shows. Well, she used to, and I think she's kind of getting out of the needlework tools part of her business. But they're really cool. I'm just on the first, section or chapter or whatever. And she talks about, the very first, like, kind of primitive needlework tools. And obviously they had to start somewhere. And so one of the first tools that people used was, kind of like a stiletto or like an awl. So it's kind of like a pointy, pokey, stabby thing to make holes in fabric for whatever reason. And a lot of times these like in the 1600s were made out of precious metals like silver, which is really cool. And then they would they'd have the stiletto. I wonder if I can show you a picture. I'm going to show you a picture so you can get the idea of what I'm talking about. So they would make these out of really, valuable materials, and jewelers would make these, and they were called bodkins. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so here's a picture. Here, the blue one. the blue one. So that's what they looked like. And they would put, on the end of the bodkin, they would put a spoon, and it was called an ear spoon. And I knew that. Like, I had seen that before in needlework kits. Sometimes they would even come with a separate ear spoon. They did not have Q-tips back then. They used ear spoons. And why they have not caught back on, I'm not sure. It seems like a very hipster thing. Like, maybe we should try to bring ear spoons back and, like, save the environment. Like, you know, we don't want turtles getting Q-tips stuck up their nose, so we're all going to use ear spoons. But they used ear spoons to dig their earwax out, which is kind of gross. But what I read in there that I did not know is that was like the thread heaven of the day, that sometimes the ladies would dig out their earwax and save it and then pull their thread through it to make it glide through the fabric with the ear spoon. It reminded me of the movie Shrek, when it's the first Shrek movie. He makes dinner for himself and he reaches in his ear and pulls out basically a candle of wax out of his ear, and he puts it on a plate and like lights the hair on the end on fire, and that's his candle. Anyway, gross. I'm all into quiet. Sometimes I think life can be so loud. You know, we listen to shows or we listen to music, or, you know, there's just traffic and things. And I think there's something really great sometimes about just saying, you know what, I need quiet. And I maybe have even mentioned this before, but a lot of times now when I'm in the car, I don't even put music on. I just sit in the quiet because it's nice. It's nice to be in the quiet. And I think I heard Mr. Rogers one time talk about when he had stayed at a hotel and some people got real rowdy and rambunctious. And it upset him so much because it was so noisy and just raucous, and probably was at a weird time of day. And he said he actually put himself in the closet. He went and stood in the closet just to like experience quiet. And he said that he feels like quiet is a human right, that everybody should have the opportunity to have peace and quiet. And I kind of agree with that. I'm all into the steam cleaner that we just got, which is a Dupre Neat. I'll put a picture here. We've only used it a little bit, but I came up on my news feed one day, just like it was like 20 tools essential for really deep cleaning your house. And this has been the year of cleaning out here, and some of these things, you know, just we have a tile floor that is in our kitchen and dining room and into the hallway, and then into the laundry room and that bathroom. And it's the kind of tile where it's not butt up against each other. There's grout, which I hate grout. And even our kitchen countertops have grout. And they're clean. Like, I clean them with bleach or with other cleaners and things, but they never really have come clean. And the last time that the carpet cleaners came, the guy was like, hey, we could, you know, clean your grout for you, and it would look brand new. Like, you wouldn't even believe how new it looked. And it's just amazing how clean it gets. And I said, well, how much does that run? And he said, $530. And I was like, no, no, I'm not paying $500 for you to wipe my floor. And obviously with their equipment, but it's just, that seems unreasonable to me. So anyway, I saw the steam cleaner come up in my feed. I went to Amazon, and I didn't get the one that showed up in my feed. I did like one of those where you organize by, you know, by consumer review. And this one was one of the highest rated ones, and it was about $189, which I feel if we only ever end up steam cleaning that floor one time, we're money ahead, because it would have cost us over $500. So we tried it out the other day. It's shocking. It's amazing. The grout looks new where we've used it. And so I'm all into that. Okay. I'm going to get a tickle in my throat, but before I can sing, that's what I'm all into this week. Okay. Whips. I don't have any FFOs except I did these two. I did those two. Those were FFOs. But I had a kind of couple of up and down days this last week. I had a day where I just kind of had the blues, which is okay. Sometimes you just need to dig into one of those days and really feel it. But last night I was like kind of tired. I couldn't get warm yesterday. Part of my face went numb for a while, which I guess is a fibro thing. I hadn't had it happen before. It didn't hurt. It didn't worry me. It just was a thing. So I was like, you know what? Sit down and stitch for a little while. And I pulled this back out. This is a Country Cottage Needleworks piece. And I don't remember what this series is called. I think Priscilla has done them. And it's a 9-part series. I'm only doing 8 because I wanted it to be arranged like this. And I'm doing, house, animals, and then animals, house. And so I'm working on the little one down in this corner. And it's really fun. They stitch up really quick. It was my plan a year ago to stitch one of these a weekend and have it done in 2 months. That didn't happen, but it's okay because it's pretty fun to stitch. Each little square only has one overdyed thread, and then the rest are DMC. And this is a piece of R&R Reproductions fabric that I had. I'm not sure what color it is. It's kind of a pretty greenish, palish, bluish color. I know they still do sea fog, and I think I've got that on my site, which would be really close. But I think it's really pretty, and I love stitching houses. So I worked on that a little bit. Okay, and that's really all I got. Oh, so I have a couple of my reproductions that are Christmassy. And I went looking for one of them on my site this week, and I realized I had it up as a chart that you could buy. I never put it up as a download. And a lot of my older patterns, I can't really do downloads because that program is long gone, and I'm still working with an old copy of the original. But this one I designed in my Max Stitch software, which I still have the file, so I went ahead and threw it up. So I didn't throw it up, I put it up. And so this one is Hannah Carter. I don't know if I've shown this one before. Maybe I did last year. But Hannah Carter stitched hers, you can see December 8th, 1838. This is the original. This was one that I bought on eBay. Nothing is really known about her. She stitched hers on, it's about a 30 count. And to me, doesn't it look like the hand-dyed fabric we get today? I just think it's really cool. It is glued, it is glued to particle board. So I don't know that I'm ever really going to be able to get it off of here, but I'm planning on taking it to the frame shop and getting it put in a frame finally. The cool thing about this one is she stitched it in December, and it's really just these alphabets. It's kind of Quakerish looking, right? With the big black alphabets. There's only 2 colors in the whole sampler, and I did them in silk. One of them is a needlepoint silk, and one of them is a Gloriana black. So you could really pick just a black thread and a pale gold. But this tree, how close can I get it? It's a Christmas tree, and it's got tiny little lights or ornaments hanging down from each of the branches here. And then there's the moth flying toward the lights on the tree. And I think that's really cool. The interesting thing about this is that really this was about the time when Christmas trees became in vogue in England. That before the 1830s, it just really wasn't something that people did. And the royal family at that time, about 1835-ish, I think, put up a Christmas tree, and then people were like, oh, that's what I want to do. I want to have a tree like the royals. And so it just became real popular. I like the verse too. It's got some over 1, so it would be tricky to stitch on Ada, but not impossible. And there is some 4-sided stitch, this line here, and this alphabet here is done in an eyelet stitch. So there's that. And you can, like I said, you can download that on my site now. Just look for Hannah Carter, or I can send you a paper copy if you're interested. It's really cool. But I was trying to remember the history of the Christmas tree to talk about. And I went and read, and actually Christmas trees, the idea of them goes way back to pagan times. The idea of having a tree and bringing it in isn't anything new, but it didn't, like I said, it didn't really become popular until the mid-1800s that people had them. But within several decades, people were like, we need to light these things up, because they just thought it would be pretty, which it is. It is pretty to light up a tree. They didn't have, they used candles. And so people would put candles all over their trees, which is just terrifying in many ways, especially if you have cats. I have no idea how that worked. But so they had candles all over the trees, and pretty soon the insurance companies are like, we really think we need to ban candles on trees because people's houses are burning down because of the candles on the trees. And then the site that I was reading about, it said, 2 sentences. People continued to use candles on their trees, period. And there were more fires, period. People are stubborn. So this guy got the great idea to make a string of lights. It was just new technology. And he put them each in an ornament, like a house ornament or something. And it was just a small, now we get hundreds of lights on one string. It was a small string of lights, and people were like, oh, that's very pretty. So they started manufacturing very small strings of lights for people to put on their tree. And at the time, a string of lights was $300. $300, like really $300, which they said at the time was the equivalent of $2,000. And it's so funny because nowadays you can really get them for like $2 or $3 or $4. And if one burns out, we just throw them away or whatever. It's kind of crazy. But they said all the rich people were like, oh, I want to put lights on my trees because it was a way to show that you were super fancy. Okay. Page 2. You know what? I never said that this was StitchyTube number 33. Lucky number 33. Okay. I didn't really get stashed since the last time. It's been a week and a half or so since I made a video. But I did. Somebody sent me a picture. I think she sent me a picture. And these are from 1829. They were 10 cents back then. Anyway, she sent me a picture of the cover of a magazine from the early 1900s, 1920s. And I immediately went on eBay and I found all 4 of these for $6.88. And I think that included shipping, which is pretty reasonable. But they were 10 cents. So really, highway robbery. But here is a lady stitching a sampler with her daughter. They did kind of a series of these where they showed women in different decades doing needlework. So Needlecraft is the name of the magazine of home arts. You can find them easily on eBay and Etsy for cheap, cheap, cheap. I don't know why people don't. This one is from December of 1929. It's got the quilt, beautiful quilt. Pretty, pretty dress. Maybe we need a dress like that this Christmas. That's a pretty dress. This lady's very dapper, but she's doing some spinning in her yard with a doggy. And that was October of 1929. And then January of 1930, they've got this lovely lady also stitching on a stand, and she's got a cat and kittens down there at the bottom at her feet, which I thought was very cute. I don't know what I'm going to do with these. I've kind of thought about taking them to the copy shop and having like a really good quality copy made and like making some kind of a display. Brunnersville, Pennsylvania is where it originally got sent. I have not looked through these yet, but it's kind of, look at this, send for this electric toaster. I think they're going to be really fun to look at. They smell like grandma. Pizzos for coughs. It's just very cool. It's going to be really fun to look at. Oh, look, here's a little alphabet even. So, I mean, these are projects that we still could do today. So it might be fun to look through these, and who knows, maybe I'll get a penchant for collecting these magazines. They're not, like I said, they're not expensive. It's super interesting. Super interesting. So I got that, and then I recently also found a shop on Etsy that was clearing out a bunch of their primitive, primitive needlework and punch needle, I can't remember the name of it, punch needle and primitive stitcher magazine. And I still haven't subscribed, which is stupid. I need to just go ahead and do it. Maybe I'll put it on my Christmas list. But I got like 7 issues for really inexpensive. And so it's been fun to look through those at night too. Okay. The drawing for last time was sampler threads. And the winner of the drawing is Sandy Larson. So congratulations, Sandy. My email address is going to be below. Contact me with your address and I'll send those to you in the mail. The question was, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish when you sit down for Thanksgiving? And it was really fun to read your answers. A lot of people said, I would say stuffing was right at the top. Stuffing and pumpkin pie. But people said, like there was one person that they have oysters, which I've not had on Thanksgiving. A lot of people said corn, which we don't make corn. A lot of people said yeast rolls, which I don't make rolls either. But it was really fun to read what people's favorite dishes were. She said that her favorite is cranberry sauce in the can. And she said she dumps it out, cuts it into slices, and then uses a little like star cookie cutter to make fancy shapes. And then she slurps up the extra. And she loves to slurp her cranberry sauce, which I thought was awesome. I kind of like that too. I kind of like the canned cranberry sauce. I know it should be like, oh, that's not the real thing. And I make cranberry sauce from scratch. I got nothing against a can of cranberry sauce. It's tart and sweet and kind of good. So next time, the gift or the giveaway for this time is going to be the supplies to stitch the Margaret Sorensen sampler, which I'll put a picture here. I should have. Oh, I'll just grab it. It's right over there. This was in my last zine. And I was in one of my drawers recently and I realized I had a bunch of these thread and hand-dyed linen kits left. And I thought, oh, well, shoot, I'll give one of these away. So this sampler was in the last zine, if you have it. And I'm giving away it's full skeins of Classic Color Works, a skein of Anchor, and then the Weeks Dye Works linen to stitch the sampler. So that's the giveaway for next time. And the question is, okay, so this is going to go with my list of 10, but what do you think what's one of your favorite things about Flosstube, just in general? So don't mention giveaway, please be 18, or get your parents' permission, blah, blah, blah. Don't mention giveaway, but if you subscribe, I'm not going to know. I'm not going to track everybody down and make sure you've subscribed. Okay, so that's for next time. And thanks to all who enter. I really do enjoy reading your comments, and I super appreciate just the niceness. We go around the table at Thanksgiving, and before we dig in, and we talk about what we're thankful for that year. And I mentioned just how appreciative I am of just the support that I've received from the online community and stitchers just near and far. I get so many nice people contact me, and I just really, really so appreciate it. It's hard to feel too sad when you have so many nice people contact you and say nice things. I just want to do a super quick update on the fundraiser for the shelter. You may remember that we're collecting money to build an enrichment center for Southern Pines Animal Shelter. This week I'm going out there to do a brief interview with Jenny, the director, and do just a quick little tour and show you what it's like over there. We're at $4,613, or we were as of yesterday or earlier this morning. Every couple of days I'm bumping in the money that we're making from the sale of items on my website. I have an entire, can you see behind that light, that pile? That pile extends over that way of stuff for me to still list. I'm trying to list to keep the number of items in that category around 75 or 100. And so if you go to my website and you look on the top bar, it's going to say stash for cash for cats and dogs. 100% of the profits from those go to the shelter fundraiser. I am keeping back the 2.9% that I pay for PayPal fees, just because I'm bumping in extra each time also, but it's just that way I don't end up getting myself in financial trouble. But like I said, $4,600 is awesome, and we have 35 days left to raise it. So make sure you check that page frequently. I have gotten things that are homemade. I have gotten things that are out of print, and those go super fast. And I don't have a schedule. Sometimes I just have a rule for a day where every time I walk in this room, I have to list at least one thing. And I'm just putting stuff up randomly. So just kind of keep checking that page because there's good stuff. And I'm listing things. If it's in new condition, like you just went to a store and just bought it, I'm listing it for the full retail price because it's for the cats and dogs. It's not a garage sale. And if it's stuff that's, kind of has a little wear and tear on it, then I bump the price down a little bit. It just depends. But I had a set of the Blackbird designs. What was it? Summer, autumn, winter. It's like a 3-piece bird series that's a loose feathers thing that's out of print. And everybody wants it. And I looked on eBay, and they typically go, for I think $30-ish a chart. I sold the entire set for $75 within an hour. I think it was gone. And so I really appreciate those of you who are not only contributing monetarily to the fundraiser, but who are also buying things from that page. I hope you're getting something fun and that you feel good that stash enhancement is justified because it's you only want to help the animals, right? So my list of 10 this week is 10 reasons to be thankful for Flosstube. And I know I probably have talked about it before, like why I think Flosstube is great. I don't know that I've done a list of 10 about it, and it was pretty easy for me to come up with a list of 10 reasons why I really value Flosstube, and I think why you do too. So I thought I would share those with you, and I'm going to put on a different pair of glasses. These are in no particular order. I think the learning and the tutorials and the tips are really helpful, and it's really one of my favorite things about YouTube in general. This idea of us teaching ourselves. Like anytime I need to know something, not anytime, many times when I need to know something, I look it up on YouTube. And a lot of times you can find a video and it's like in 2 minutes, you're like, okay, I know how to do that. Like these pillowcases last week. I was like, oh, I wonder how you make a pillowcase. And the first video I clicked on was amazing. And I just started making pillowcases. And I didn't have to like dig through my craft books and try to figure it out and read the instructions or whatever. You can just have a tutorial step by step. It's totally free. It's quick, painless, and really fun. So I love that about Flosstube too, that there are a lot of Flosstubers that have done tutorials on how to dye fabric, how to do different kinds of stitching, how to make project tags, how to make project bags. And it's fun to see, because I think we all figure out our own ways to do things, and sometimes instructions just really aren't enough. You want to see somebody do it. Reason number 2 is getting to know other stitchers. And it's weird that, now that I've watched Flosstube for a while, when I go to retreats or shows or things and I bump into, Flosstube celebrities, it's so weird because you're like, you're famous to me, like you're on my TV. You're in my home with me while I'm sitting around, and I recognize your voice and I recognize your face. And there just are so many great personalities, and I appreciate that. And it takes a certain amount of bravery to make videos, because of, people can give you thumbs down, or they can say mean comments about you, or maybe you don't get a lot of views and it makes you feel bad, or whatever. Like you're putting yourself out there, and so it makes you vulnerable in a way. But I think it's really cool to see I feel like when I'm making my videos, this is me. This is exactly me. I'm not filtering myself. I filter myself a little. I filter myself a little. I try not to swear on my videos. I never have, but I feel like, we sit and we make these videos, and it's us by ourselves or with our cats or our dogs. And so I feel like you're seeing like the essential part of a person. And I think that's really special, and it's really cool. And I love that, people have their different quirks, and you can, some people are very serious and some people are very silly, and some people have little tiny short videos, and some people do great big long videos and talk about different things and have different styles. And it just is really neat to see the different personalities. Number 3 is the laughs. I regularly laugh while I'm watching videos. And it's not an easy thing to make people laugh. And I don't think you can force it. And, I think sometimes we laugh at ourselves. And so it's nice to see like people do something, or they have some kind of an oopsie-doo. And, a mistake, or they want to tell you about a problem they had, and everybody can laugh about it. And I think that's really fun too. Because I think laughing is good for you. Number 4 is being kept company, like you're not alone. And I've said this before, I know, that I feel like needlework and, crafts like sewing and things can be very solitary. We sit in our home, we sit in our chair, and you're by yourself, and it's quiet, or you're watching a video, or you're listening to music, and you're by yourself. But when you go to a stitching retreat, or you have a craft weekend with friends, it's like laughter and talking. So I don't think we necessarily want to be alone. It's just that we often are alone. And Flosstube gives us a way to, I get emails all the time where people are like, thank you so much for, making videos. I don't have any stitching friends, and the people on Flosstube just keep me company, and they make me feel so happy. And I think that's really cool. Number 5 is inspiration. And I think that you see other people's projects, what they're getting done, that they're into English paper piecing all of a sudden, or somebody's learned to crochet, or somebody's knitting, or somebody whatever, that you get inspired. You're like, oh, I want to do that too. I like that. And I think just like laughing, I think inspiring someone is not a small thing either. And I also think that cannot be forced. I think that, to be inspiring, your ideas have to be inspired in a way. So when you look at people like Vanna or Priscilla and Chelsea with their just creative finishing ideas, that takes effort and skill and like talent. And when other people want to do it, I think that's a really nice sign that people have been inspired. Number 6 is support. You see sometimes Flosstubers just share, and weep. I mean, it's not uncommon to see people weep. And that is also a great vulnerability, to be able to cry in front of people. Even though you're just filming it, you have to go through a lot of steps and make the decision that you're going to download that to the internet. And so, but I think the community is very supportive and kind, and that, you know, people want to see the best for other people, and the thumbs up and the nice comments, and even just people praying for each other and thinking of each other and reaching out. That's also not a small thing, especially today. Like I don't think there can be enough of that. I like the idea of creating community too with Flosstube. I think that, like I said, it can be very solitary, but people organize fundraisers, get-togethers, retreats. They plan meetups. Everybody's going to go to a convention, and they're creating, you know, this whole group of people that know each other, like each other, enjoy each other's company, and can't wait until the next time they get to see each other. And I think that is really cool. It can give you a sense of purpose. Making videos is motivating because I think when you've made videos for a while, to feel like you should keep making them, you're like, I better get some stuff done so I have something to talk about. And regularly you see people refer to this idea of like, well, I tried to get this done because I wanted to be able to show you guys I made some progress, or people will apologize for not having made progress. I think too, you know, in that idea of a sense of purpose that people, I've heard from people that they're like, I live alone, I'm homebound. I super look forward every day to getting to see what my Flosstube friends are up to. And I think that's nice. It has, number 9, it has revitalized in a lot of ways the needlework industry. And it's fun to talk to people that I've known for, you know, a couple decades that are like, we literally can't keep up right now. We never have things that are out of stock, and we have all kinds of things that are out of stock. And I think that's great. And I think that it's nice that the flame of needlework is just burning brighter, and that people are enjoying it. I think it's good for you to have a hobby that you enjoy and that feels productive and that produces something of beauty. And so not only just the idea that people have small businesses or larger businesses or, you know, even distributorships or manufacturing companies, I think that's all good, because, you know, the more designers that go, you know, stop designing, or if a thread company decides not to produce thread anymore, that hurts all of us as stitchers, because it becomes harder to find things. You may remember when Thread Heaven, you know, announced that they were closed, like they just were done. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? And it gets worked out. I'm just saying earwax is a possibility. If you can't find, you know, Thread Magic or whatever. And then the number 10 thing that I came up with is just love, the idea of love. And I've talked about love before on my channel too, and just the idea that everybody has a different way that they express love. And not only to your loved ones. You know, Jesus said, love your neighbor. And Kurt Vonnegut said he felt like it would be better to say respect your neighbor. Because it's hard to love some people. But anyway, I think when you get to know somebody, you get to love them. You know what I mean? I think familiarity, they say familiarity breeds contempt. I think that familiarity can breed affection and a genuine care for somebody else. That when you know somebody and their foibles and their struggles and things, that it creates this community where there's just a lot of love for other people. I think if, you know, God forbid, it's going to happen someday that one of us Flosstubers can't make them anymore because, you know, we're very ill or worse. And will crush people because there's just so much love and affection. It's kind of morbid. Sorry. But I mean, it's true. I think that we care for each other. I care for the other Flosstubers, and I care for the people who comment on my videos, and I care for the people that reach out to me. And again, that's not a small thing to create this love there was nothing there before, and now we have this community that everybody just has genuine, you know, deep care, concern, affection for. That's just a really beautiful thing. So those are 10 reasons to be thankful for Flosstube. I think as long as it's the time of year when we say we're being thankful for things. That's what I'm thankful for this week. Okay, so I'm just going to mention a couple of things from my shop as I usually do. I don't want to mention a ton. I have, like 15 or 1,600 things on my website now, which is insane. I get new things almost every day. And I don't dump inventory at this point. Like things that I have in, I just keep them in stock. When they run out, I just get more. And one thing that I've been updating is my Christmas section. And somebody the other day said, your Christmas section doesn't work. I click on it and it's just like weird stuff in there. And I was like, what? And I went and looked, and sure enough, it was broken. I don't know when that happened. But if you've looked at my Christmas section and you were like, this is weird, what does she think Christmas is? Go back. It's fixed. And I have 230 plus things in that section. Anything from like my rusty jingle bells that I sell to some fibers and some trims with Christmassy names, and lots of really, really cool charts. One thing that I just got in this week, and it kind of came from out of the blue, and I was like, why? Merrily, We Welcome Spring. This lovely sampler from Blackbird Designs, and I love anything they do, of course. Here they've got a detail on the back. But it's such a pretty sampler. And spring, so if you're sick of stitching Christmas, move right on into spring. Here it is. Here it is for you. I know, some of us have a long winter ahead, but I don't, because it's beautiful down here. I think this is really pretty, and I was looking at it and thinking, gosh, I love the border. And a lot of these little motifs, are sure pretty. And, you flip through it as I do. And it's based on an antique, which I did not realize. So there's a picture of the antique sampler. And as always, Barb and Alma, they like to tweak the antiques, which I think is cool, to put their own kind of spin on them. So they're not real true reproductions. They're kind of reimaginings. I'd love to see that one in color. But you can see there's that kind of quirky alphabet here and some of those same pots of flowers and things. And so they've got a little bit written down there. It says above is pictured the antique sampler which inspired Merrily We Welcome Spring. Note, it appears to have been cut away from the original frame. Some stitches along the bottom of the piece appear to have been a line border. I decided to add a larger organic border to my piece in memory of what was cut away. And so you can see, I said the border is so lovely. This piece doesn't have a border. And here's the line where they say things were cut. So there you can see the border was added, and there's where that cut line would be. And the house was added. There is not a house. There's no house in the original. Anyway, I just thought maybe you all would think that was interesting. I think it's really pretty. It's stitched on 36 count Oaken by Picture This Plus, which is a really pretty color. And I love their 36 count. It stitches up more like a 38 to 40 count. And it's just nice. It has a nice drape in your hand. A nice drape. And then the other thing I wanted to mention is that Esther and Dear Santa are back in the shop. They sold out like that because they're really stinking cute. And I did run out of the Christmas feed sack by Carriage House samplings and the Hawk Run feed sack. The Hawk Run feed sack is back in stock today, but the Christmas one is out. So I'm going to contact Carriage House Samplings directly and see if I can get some more of that. It's really cute. Priscilla and Chelsea showed it on their video. And I love that it's stitched on gingham. And I've been trying to get gingham from my distributor, but I can't get any gingham. But I'm trying. When I get some, I'll let you guys know. I do have more Silk Weaver fabrics on the way. I've been getting like a bunch of Silk Weaver at a time. And I ordered more of Days Gone By and French Vanilla because that just flew out of here. As soon as that's in, I'll let you guys know. I don't know when it's coming. That's kind of the thing. The last batch I got was in September. So it's December already almost. I've been wanting to get it every month, but they're a little slow, but it's worth the wait because it's really pretty. And so just watch for that. Okay. I talked a long time. I think it's kind of funny and cute when people are like, okay, 37 minutes. Okay. It doesn't matter. We're not on a time schedule. If I wanted to chat for 10 more minutes about some kind of weird. Oh, I do want to talk about something else weird. I'm going to put a picture here of another Hannah Carter sampler. I forgot. So I showed you earlier my Hannah Carter sampler. Remember Hannah? Here she is. Have communion with few. Speak evil of none. Don't do it. So that's my Hannah Carter, but here is the Scarlet Letter has a Hannah Carter sampler that's done. I think it's a museum owns the original of this one. And I forgot how much I like this. I got to pop this picture up so I can look at it so I can talk about it because you can see it, but I can't. Okay. I'm going to put it right where you'll see it. So it's a lovely lady with her big pink skirt, and it reminds me of a Kathy Barrick piece that she has of somebody with a big pink skirt. If I can find that, I'm going to put it here. And I love the trees with the big oak leaves and the bird and the animals running. The pastoral scene with the rolling hills and the man on the weird wonky horse. Like, it's so pretty. I have that chart. But what I really liked about it, I went to the Scarlet Letter to look at it, and you can get it on her website, by the way. It's fantastic. Is they have this, I'm going to put a picture here of a bird that's on the sampler. I love that bird. I love that bird. I really love that bird. It would make a cute Christmas ornament. I don't know. I really like that bird. It's a tent stitched piece, which means it's stitched like the first half of a cross stitch over one thread. You totally could do this on silk gauze. It would be lovely. And then it would be super lovely on silk gauze. It's harder to count on silk gauze, but this I feel like is a piece where there's big enough swaths of color that you could, really just kind of work on an area at a time. I'm still looking at that bird. I think he's really cute. He's got a lot of attitude. Her pieces are amazing. If you haven't been to the Scarlet Letter, I'll put a link down below. She's been reproducing samplers forever. Super talented. She does design some too, but she just comes up with the greatest samplers to reproduce. Kudos. Kudos to you. Thanks for stopping by. I'm going to edit this and try to post it tonight so I can spend time with you guys. Have a great week. I will make a stitch with me later this week. I was going to do one yesterday, but I didn't. So talk to you later. Bye, guys.